Hello everyone, my name is Olivia and welcome to my big summer book haul. Over the past couple of months, I have acquired a lot of books that I'm very excited to read, so let's get right into the book haul. But before we begin, I am now on Threads. If you don't know what Threads is, it's basically Instagram's version of Twitter, and if you follow me over on Instagram, you can follow me over on Threads. I am Stories for Coffee. It's a really fun time if you want to go check it out. Be sure to follow me there. Let's split this book haul into books that were given to me by publishers, books that were gifted to me, and then nonfiction books that I'm really excited to read. And if my voice sounds a little bit weird, I have a slight cold, but we are persevering. I feel a lot better. It's just that my voice sounds a little bit weird, but everyone tells me I sound perfectly fine. But in here, it sounds weird. Let's start with one of my most anticipated reads of 2023, and it is Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. Elizabeth Acevedo is one of my favorite authors of all time, and this is her first foray into adult fiction, and I am so excited. Libro FM provides book influencers with ALCs, which are advanced listener copies, and I have the advanced listener copy of Family Lore, and I am so excited to hear Elizabeth Acevedo narrate it because that's how I listen to all of her stories. Her voice is just so soothing and full of passion, and I am so excited to dive into this. I actually don't know too much about it, and I just kind of want to dive in without knowing a lot. It says that it is the story of one Dominican American family told through the voices of its women as they await a gathering that will forever change their lives. Spanning 3 days prior to the wake, Family Lore traces the lives of each of the Marte women, weaving together past and present. This is an indelible portrait of sisters and cousins, aunts and nieces, one family's journey through their history, helping them better navigate all that is to come. I love a generational story. I love when it explores family and the different dynamics, especially the power dynamics between mothers and aunts and their children, and Elizabeth Acevedo is just such a talented writer that really puts her heart and soul into each of her stories, and she has explored family in different ways in her previous YA stories, but I'm also really excited to see how she does that in an adult novel, and I just cannot wait to read it. So thank you so much to the publisher for sending this my way. The next book was given to me by Pantheon, and it is The Disenchanted by Celia Bell. The cover alone really interested me, and then once I found out it was a sapphic historical fiction, I was completely signed up to it because it is giving me a lot of Maggie O'Farrell vibes. It says that The Disenchanted is a stunning debut that conjures an unexpected world of passion, crime, intrigue, and black magic. I'm so excited. It seems like a story that has a lot of layers to it. It feels like we're not learning too much about what the story is actually about from its synopsis. We just know that we follow Marie Catherine, who enters a world of these intelligent women and starts to fall in love for Victoria, and their love seems to not only be forbidden but also somewhat mysterious because the fact that they mention black magic. I'm wondering if there's going to be a fantastical element to this historical fiction, but color me intrigued both by the cover and the synopsis. This feels like a story that you would read around autumn time, not only because the cover is a little bit darker, but it feels like the story itself is very dark, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Another book that was given to me by the publisher is Not Alone by Sarah K. Jackson, and this was gifted to me by Doubleday. It says that it is tracing the harrowing journey of a mother and son fighting for survival and a future in a world ravaged by environmental disaster. This book particularly interested me because lately we've seen a trend in media between a reluctant father and their child, like Joel and Ellie in The Last of Us, Hopper and Eleven in Stranger Things, Din Djarin and Grogu in Mandalorian, but we never see a mother-son duo or a mother-daughter duo. And because this is set in the apocalypse and we follow a mother and a son, I'm very intrigued to see how that dynamic will play out compared to the ones that we've constantly seen in media lately where it's always a father figure. I'm also very interested by this because I love apocalyptic fiction. One of my favorite reads of 2023 was The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and I'm just so excited to pick this up. This also does feel like an autumn book by the coloring of the cover, but I do think I'm going to read it very soon because it keeps calling to me and I feel like I will greatly enjoy this story. Next we have a book I actually won in a giveaway. Sometimes I enter book giveaways on Instagram and I'm like, I'll never win, and I immediately forget about it, but I entered this giveaway and a couple weeks later they told me that I won, and I was very excited about it, and it is Murder Your Employer, McMaster's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes. This book intrigues me so much because the cover is stunning. The overall marketing for this book is just amazing. I love how they really went for the dark academia tone of it all. So we follow a group of people who have had really terrible employers that they definitely want to get rid of. And under the tutelage of Dean Harbinger Harrow and the fascinating faculty at McMaster's Halls of Poison Ivy, they hone their craft, each hoping to finesse a perfectly masterful murder. This sounds like dark academia meets somewhat of a satire because people are trying to get rid of their employers, but it's also really intriguing because it also has pictures in the story as well to add a little bit more depth into what the setting looks like. And this just seems like a really fun book. Also perfect for autumn time. I feel like I'm slowly but surely getting prepared for my favorite season of all during the summertime. So these all feel like reads that I can read during September, October, even August. Because in my mind, the moment my birthday hits, it's Halloween. From the blurbs, it also says that there are a couple puzzles to be solved, and I have been looking for a book that makes me think because I have been watching Mike's recap of Lost, and I loved the fact that Lost made me think so much because it is such a complex, layered story, and I wish we had a lot more of those stories, both in television, movie, and books, and I feel like this story is going to be really fun because there's going to be some puzzles, there's going to be a mystery, and it's also a dark academia, which I love. So I'm so excited for this story, and I think it's right up my alley. Now that we have gone through the books that were gifted to me by publishers, let's move on to the books that I was gifted by friends and family and even myself. So the first book that I have to haul that was gifted to me by a friend is I Like Me Better by Robby Weber. Robby Weber is a fellow booktuber and bookstagrammer turned author, and this is his sophomore novel, and I am so excited for it because he writes the perfect summer romances that are queer and wonderful and just so lighthearted. So we follow Zach, who covers for the captain of the soccer team after he pulls a prank, and because he covered for him, he now has to take responsibility for the punishment that he has to do, like community service. So while he is doing community service, he comes across Chip, who now looks at him like he has a bad reputation, even though he was just covering for his friend. So slowly but surely during the summer, Zach begins to fall for Chip, despite the fact that Chip is a little bit wary of him. And it says, between dolphin encounters and shark costume disasters, he suddenly has way more on the line than he ever expected. Zach may be good at winning on the field, but can he keep up a lie without losing himself? I love a cute summery book, and I am just so excited to read this on the beach and to just enjoy another Robby Weber book because I am so proud of my friends whenever they publish things, whenever they create art and share it with others. I am just so happy for Robby, and I'm so happy that he was able to gift me a copy of his sophomore novel. He has 2 more novels coming in the future, so get excited, follow him on Instagram because he is just so aesthetic, so happy, so positive. And I am so excited to read this book. Speaking of another friend that I am incredibly proud of, Hannah has a new journal, and it is her movie and TV journal. She previously created a reading journal that is beautiful and green, and she decided to create another one for movies and TV. You all know I love movies and TV so much, so to have 2 journals to combine my interests and to log the movies that I'm currently watching and to log the movies that I definitely want to see, I am so excited for this. It's basically like Letterboxd if it was a journal, which is amazing. So I think I'm going to use this to log my favorite movies rather than just all the movies that I see. So it becomes a journal of all my favorite movies so I can go back to read my thoughts when I initially saw it. And I also really enjoy the fact that she leaves a lot of space down below so you can write a review, you can write down your favorite quotes, you can even draw something. And it's just such a beautiful, heartfelt journal because you can tell she put a lot of effort into it. And it is just so cute. I love it. It is amazing. I just love a journal to write down and keep track of the things that I have been consuming in terms of media, and I have never seen a movie and TV show journal before, and I am so endlessly proud of her. It's also really cute because both of my friends have new things that match each other because they're both light blue. It feels like light blue is a very big moment this year, and I'm endlessly proud of both of them. The next book that was gifted to me was by my mom, and it is The Cuban Heiress by Cleeton. Cleeton has written so many different historical fictions about Cuban main characters, and she is back yet again with another historical fiction. It is set in 1934. A luxury cruise becomes a fight for survival as two women's pasts collide on a round-trip voyage from New York to Havana in this page-turning new novel inspired by the true story of the SS Morro Castle. One thing that I love about historical fiction is the fact that they always teach me about different parts of history that I have never heard of before, especially with Rupert, who writes about pieces of history and injustices that a lot of people don't know about, Maggie O'Farrell, who writes about women in history who have been forgotten, and then we have Cleeton, who writes a lot about Cuban history that I have never heard about before. My mom has actually already read this book before me, and she said she loved it. I think she read it in 2 days. She flies through Cleeton's novels, and while I don't like books set on boats because I'm very afraid of boats, I will enjoy this because I really do love Cleeton's novels, and every time she publishes one, I am so happy to read about another piece of Cuban history that I didn't know about previously. Lastly, in this category, I gifted myself the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I actually do have another version of the Lord of the Rings trilogy that I started reading, but they are mass market paperback, and they are incredibly difficult to read and also annotate because there's hardly any margins on the paper, so it's difficult to write my own thoughts and to underline. So I decided to buy myself paperback copies of the Lord of the Rings, and I went to Barnes & Noble and found this beautiful box set that has Mount Doom. It has Sauron as well, and then the covers are stunning. We have one of the ring wraiths on the cover of the Fellowship of the Ring. We have one of the two towers in the two towers. And then we have this stunning cover for the Return of the King. And I actually got this entire trilogy for $7 at Barnes & Noble because I used a gift card and the gift card wasted, so all I had to pay was $7, and this trilogy is stunning. I really enjoy these editions because I was finding it difficult to find a cover that I really enjoyed, that I was passionate about, because I find that Lord of the Rings covers aren't the prettiest, but then I came across these covers in Barnes & Noble and was just enamored by them. They are so pretty, and they do have enough room to write in the margins, and it's a decent font because the mass market paperback one was so tiny and it was so difficult to read. And yeah, I now have 2 editions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I do think that's fitting for me because I love the Lord of the Rings, so it doesn't feel like a waste to have 2 versions of the covers. I love how in the beginning of this video I said, oh, my cold isn't too bad, I just sound a little weird, but I'm full of mucus and my head hurts a lot, so we're going to try and keep chugging along with this video. I am almost done. We are in the last category. We are up to nonfictions that I am so excited to read. So I have 4 nonfictions that I am itching to read. The first one is Invisible: How Young Women with Serious Health Issues Navigate Work, Relationships, and the Pressure to Just Seem Fine by Michele Lent Hirsch. My friend Leah recommended this nonfiction to me because she found it to be really helpful, and I just want to read more nonfictions about being chronically ill and not being taken seriously at work, with people you love, and with doctors, because it's a really hard road to navigate once you become chronically ill. It changes the foundations of your life and how you function in society, and it feels very isolating if you don't have a community of people who are also chronically ill. But luckily I have found my own community of those who are also chronically ill, and it has provided me so much validation, so much knowledge, like getting book recommendations like this. So I'm really excited to read what Michele has to say about being chronically ill and her experience navigating the world. And I feel like this will not only validate me, but also give me some insight and advice to move forward as someone who always has various illnesses that I have to deal with. It's pretty short. It feels like it's going to be a very quick book to read, and I feel like it's going to be a very important book that will leave a big impression on me. Another nonfiction that I got myself is Vincent and Theo. So I went to the Vincent van Gogh exhibit in the Met. He has a Cyprus exhibit that is happening, and it is absolutely beautiful. There are so many different Van Gogh paintings that I have never seen before that are located originally in Amsterdam and the UK that are now in New York for a short while that I was able to see, and it was such a stunning exhibit to see the progression of Van Gogh's art style, to see initial sketches, to see his letters to Theo. If you do not know, The Letters of Vincent van Gogh is one of my favorite books of all time. It was one of my favorite books of 2022, and when I saw this in the gift shop of the Met, I knew I had to get myself a copy because I want to learn more about Vincent's relationship to Theo, who is his brother. He provided him with the funds to become an artist. He provided him the emotional support to become an artist, and Theo is a very big support system in Vincent's life, and I just want to learn more about their correspondence. Even though I have read so many of their letters already, I want to learn more because I am so deeply fascinated by Vincent and Theo. And if you did not know, Theo actually named his son Vincent after his brother, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. They just had one of the most special relationships that is just once in a lifetime, and the amount of support that Theo provided his brother is just, it's just wild. It's just wild to imagine, and I cannot wait to learn more about their correspondence and their relationship. And you could see like his handwriting here. It was truly so deeply special to me to see Vincent's letters in person because it made such an impact on me last year. And to see his letters in person, to see his handwriting that reminded me of my own grandma because they wrote very similarly, was just so deeply special. And it was just something that I'll never forget, along with all the other paintings that are from all around the world that I have never seen before. It was just such a great exhibit that I just will keep in my heart forever. So I knew I had to get another Vincent van Gogh nonfiction. He means the world to me. He means more to me than I initially realized until I read his letters, and then I realized that I relate so much to him, I admire him so much, and I constantly want to learn more about him. Another nonfiction that I am so excited to read is I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. Maggie O'Farrell wrote The Marriage Portrait and Hamnet, which are some of my favorite historical fictions of all time, and she actually wrote a memoir. This is chronicling the 17 occasions that Maggie O'Farrell has stared death in the face and lived to tell the tale. I actually saw Noelle's vlog where she read I Am, and I loved hearing her thoughts about it. It made me even more excited to read this memoir, and I'm trying to slowly but surely read all of Maggie O'Farrell's novels, including her memoir, and I'm not only excited to learn about all these different experiences, but to learn more about her as a person because she is slowly but surely becoming one of my favorite authors of all time, and I just love a memoir of a person that I deeply admire, and this is a book that I have been searching high and low for. I got myself a copy on Pango Books, which is a great place to buy used books for a cheaper price, and I am so deeply excited to read this one. And last but not least, we have a nonfiction that was gifted to me by one of my friends, Michele, and it is The Body Keeps Score: Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma. It says, a pioneering researcher transforms our understanding of trauma and offers a bold new paradigm for healing. I just love a good nonfiction exploring trauma and how you can heal from it. I actually previously read What Happened to You featuring Oprah, and it was an insightful read, but I didn't feel like it actually delved deep into the science of trauma and the reasonings behind certain traumatic events and how that can affect both your body and mind. And I heard from multiple people that this one goes into more depth in terms of the science behind trauma and how it can affect you. So I am so thankful to Michele for gifting me this because I do think it's going to be a really fascinating read. Those are all the books that I have to haul for this summer. Every time I haul a bunch of books, I get so excited to read all of them. I'm wondering if some of them are going to become books that I DNF. I'm wondering if some of these books are going to become one of my favorite reads of all time. And I'm also just so deeply excited about all the nonfictions that I have because I love reading nonfiction now. I always find it so insightful and so fun to dive into a topic that I'm deeply interested in now that I'm outside of college, because this offers me the opportunity to educate myself outside of a classroom. Let me know if you have read any of these books and if there's a particular title that you want me to read as soon as possible. And thank you to all the publishers for gifting me all these different books. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm just so excited to get back into reading. If you want to follow me anywhere else, including Threads, all my social media links will be down below. If you have made it this far in the video, leave a book stack emoji so we can see who stays for the longest in all my videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!